What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So just when you think you have Nintendo figured out, we thought that Ring trailer thing that they showed was just a basic Wii Fit successor. Turns out there's a little more to it, and we're going to talk a bit about Ring Fit Adventure, which appears to be a fitness RPG. And I have some thoughts on it. We'll go over all of that, when you can expect to pick it up, and how much it is. Also, it looks like a system that was previously thought to be unhackable is actually getting exploited and hacked at this time. It's pretty interesting to see. The NPDs from August are in, and doesn't look great. Looks like, I would think, the end of a console generation. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to like button. It does help out. Get subscribed so you can stay updated on all of the gaming news going on in the gaming world. And we're going to start today with the Game Awards. The Game Awards, of course, last year in December had some really cool announcements. Of course, we also had all of the awards and stuff, but I will admit, most people, even myself included, tune in because we want to see all of the cool new surprises. This is kind of like a mini E3 almost. I mean, think about last year we had Mortal Kombat 11 get announced, right? That was pretty cool. We also had Joker enter Smash. That was a big deal, of course. Outer Worlds was announced. There were a lot of really cool things happening last year. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So I'm looking forward to this year, and it is now dated. Jeff Keighley put out on Twitter, as you're seeing here, that we can expect to see the Video Game Awards air December 12th. He also talks a bit about some plans that he has. I would check that out on his Twitter account there. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. It's definitely gotten better over the years. I mean, at one point, it was kind of a laughing stock, right? We had the Hydro bot and all of this stuff. I'm looking forward. It's become more serious. I know it's kind of trying to mimic the Oscars, but it does, I think, have a bit of a video games flair to it. Like it's less proper, I would say, right? But it's a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. December 12th, and we'll see what game this year gets game of the year. I'm still unsure, to be honest. Like, there's not really a lot of big standouts, right? Nothing has really blown me away this year, like last year when we had God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, two massive games. God of War really blowing me away. I just haven't had that feeling so far this year. I mean, Resident Evil 2 was good, but nothing mind-blowing like those games. Oh, and get this, Konami is releasing another Castlevania game, 2D side-scrolling Castlevania game. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, once you turn the trailer on, you immediately realize that it is a cell phone game. That's a shame. But the trailer that they showed, which actually looks pretty good, I'm a little surprised. It's the issue I have with it being on cell phones. We don't really have physical controls unless you buy, I guess, the controller snap-on things you can get from places like iPega and stuff. But you're still using your phone. I'd rather, if I'm going to use a handheld system at this point, the Switch, I'd rather it be on there. I mean, Konami is doing some strange stuff with this game. It's Grimoire of Souls, and yeah. It looks good, but why is it on cell phones? Why isn't it on other platforms? I mean, I guess, is it Konami with like the thoughts of, oh, free-to-play microtransaction type stuff? Are they just straight up selling this game? I mean, if you go to a website, there's not as much information there as I would like there to be, but it looks like it's just gonna be on cell phones. Now, it could be, we've seen this before, right? We've seen cell phone games get ported to the Switch later on. It's always possible Konami could look at that and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we'll do a port to the Switch. It's already being developed for mobile processors in mind. I believe the transition to the Switch wouldn't be too bad, all things considered. So, hey, you never know. Maybe it'll make its way over. But I have to say, looking at it, from what they've shown anyway, looks pretty good. Oh, and Killer Queen Black, that arcade game that we saw, it was shown, I think this must have been, this feels like it was forever ago. Remember it was on like that leaked E3 banner that turned out to be correct next to Dragon Ball FighterZ? It's been that long, and it doesn't look like a big budget game or anything. It's just taken a while to get out, and it is finally coming. It has a release date, October 11th. They put out the full trailer, and it is coming to Steam, Humble Store, which is interesting, Discord, another interesting one in there, and Nintendo Switch. Basically, the two I assume most people are going to worry about is Steam and Nintendo Switch. And this is a game that I am very interested in because I'm not really sure what to expect when I play it. It seems tremendously popular in arcades. People talk about it all the time on social media. It sounds like it has, they show in the trailer, 3 different ways to win. You can do it through military, economic, or apparently snail victory. I like the idea of something crazy and off the wall, and from what this looks like, geared towards multiplayer and getting moved to consoles and PC should give it a broader appeal to an audience that probably has never seen these I've never seen an arcade unit from Killer Queen Black in any place. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. Should be fun to check it out with some friends and everything and see what it's all about. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start with Ring Fit Adventure. And this is something that surprised me and I think several people. Now, of course, Nate on the Spawncast talked about how you might be surprised by what they show here. And yeah, I was surprised. It appears that Nintendo is taking fitness, mixing it with an adventure RPG. That's right, it is a straight up RPG where you have enemies that have weaknesses to different exercises, and you go around this land with a sentient ring, apparently, that is named Ring, so very original there, but you're going through, and it appears that the big bad boss is this very large buff dragon, purple dragon, by the way, and I kind of like the idea of this. Now, I'll admit, I looked at the trailer for it, and I said, you know what? I don't really think that's going to be something that I'm super interested in playing myself, mostly because when I'm at home playing games, I'm not exercising. This, though, I will say, I think is a great idea for anyone who wants to maybe mix those things together without it feeling as much like you're just doing Wii Fit. Like, Wii Fit didn't really disguise that you were exercising very well. This looks like it's the next step. Looks like it's the point where they're getting closer to hiding it. Now, I will say, it's still like if you get Mario is missing. They try to hide that is a learning game, and it's better than something like Number Muncher or something. I'm getting a little old there, but it's better there that because you're not trying to find certain patterns and numbers and everything. You're technically running around trying to find Mario. That's kind of what this reminds me of. It's not as straightforward as something like Wii Fit. It's hidden. There are full RPG elements. According to several previews and outlets, you actually unlock moves. Enemies that you're fighting will have different weaknesses depending on if you are doing squats, leg lifts, all of this stuff, and you have to jog in place to get through the game. And in order to do that, you actually have a leg strap and the ring con that the Joy-Con locks into, and it just goes to show that you really don't know what Nintendo has in store for us, like, ever. I mean, the balance board was already an interesting idea when that came out, but you know what, it's a balance board, and I look back on it, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but like, a ring con is like, it's so strange. I will say, I like that the Joy-Con itself can still surprise me. What I'm referring to here is during the trailer, there was a point in time where they touched the IR sensor on the Joy-Con, and it appeared to read their pulse and could tell how many beats per minute they were going with their heart rate and everything. And that was a bit surprising. I like that the Joy-Con can continue to surprise us. And this is coming out October 18th for $80, $79.99, which software and accessory and everything. That's actually about right. That's not too bad, I would say, for what comes in the box and everything, because I don't really know how long the game is, but I imagine because it's so like fitness oriented, you might not like you're probably not going to marathon this game. Okay, someone's going to speed run it, and that's going to be an amazing thing to see. But there's a chance people play 30 minutes to an hour of this, get a full workout, and make some progress at the game, and it takes them like a few weeks to beat it or something, because they're not going to do it maybe every night, but that is actually kind of a neat idea. And here's the thing, I don't think if this works and it actually sells, I think the Ring Con could actually be used in other games, or maybe even have its own like universe of games built around it. I mean, we're talking about an RPG now. Maybe they could do more action related games and stuff. I do think this could be an idea going forward for Nintendo if it takes off. I think Labo may have stalled a bit at this point. I mean, VR was kind of neat with it because it was like a cheap alternative, but I think this might be Nintendo's next big focus. And I will say it's going to be great for the streaming community. People on Twitch and YouTube and stuff are probably going to have a blast with this thing, with viewers and playing. And I've already seen some people talk about streaming it online and everything. So it's not necessarily something that I'm probably going to get into, but I think it's good for everyone to exercise, and this could help people who maybe aren't into going to the gym or anything like that get some exercise in their own home without it feeling as straightforward as Wii Fit. So because of that, I'm good with it. I'm excited to see it come out and see how people take to it. Next up, let's talk about an interesting announcement that came out of Tokyo Game Show, and that is Yokai Watch 4 now going multi-platform. It is going to be releasing for the PlayStation 4, We just don't know when. Level 5 did announce this. They put out a trailer and everything, and it's interesting to see this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the series itself declining in popularity, especially in Japan, where it's always been really strong. Like, the previous Yokai Watches, specifically like first and second one, sold very, very well, like really well. And of course, it was on the 3DS, large install base and all of that, but still, it did really well there. And then Nintendo, from what I've seen, worked up to localize it and publish it in the West and everything. So I don't really know what's going to happen there, because Nintendo's not going to publish it and localize it for PlayStation. So I don't know how all of that works out. But to see this game be spread to the PlayStation 4 after being with Nintendo basically as an exclusive this whole time tells me that Level 5 is a bit desperate here. They're making some moves because they need another place to sell it, because it didn't sell as well as they needed to on just the Switch's install size alone. So what do? You go for the next biggest install size in Japan, and that's the PlayStation 4 at this point. I mean, they've put it on the Switch, and now they're going to the PS4 because obviously Nintendo and the 3DS and Sony and their Vita and everything, that's all pretty much going away. So go to the PlayStation 4. We hear the PS5 will probably be backwards compatible. So there you go. It'll technically be relevant there as well. I'm just more or less curious about what's going to happen when one of the two comes west, because we've already heard the Yokai Watch 4 on the Switch is coming west. We just don't know when. So we'll see how all of that gets handled. But hey, you have a couple different versions to choose from, I guess, in Japan. You can either grab the portable version on the Switch with kind of the home console element to it, and then you have the PlayStation 4, which should perform pretty well, especially if you have the Pro, and maybe they'll have 4K and everything. We'll see. Next up, let's talk about the Wii Mini. I did a video here on it. Remember, I talked about how it was odd to look at that device rather than a regular Wii because they've like stripped all of the internet functionality out of it and everything. And really looking at it, it wasn't a great system technically. And leading up to that, it really hasn't been able to be hacked. Doesn't have a web browser or anything. No easy way to access basically the system until now. And a system that was originally thought unhackable just because of lack of features in general, it appears to be getting hacked. And this is fascinating to see. Now, I'm curious what people are going to do with it beyond possibly just making a LAN adapter and stuff work with it and finally getting the system online just for fun, I guess, with the homebrew community. But this was a really interesting thing that was posted online, and it was specifically, it showed up on Twitter, then a lot of outlets started picking it up and everything. And this is created by Full Metal 5, and the way they are doing this is they found a vulnerability in Broadcom's Bluetooth driver, and that's letting them run different code with the system. So at that point, they'll be able to load up their own software and exploit and everything, and then they can run code from the USB port, which I assume at that point would let them do whatever they need to do to it to load custom firmware and then eventually do anything with the system, including getting it online for whatever reason. Now, I did like the form factor of the Wii Mini. I thought it was kind of neat because it had the lid that popped open and you wouldn't be shoving stuff in the slot loading drive and all of that, but still, it unfortunately was stripped out of so many features, it really wasn't worth using. But now, you might see some people interested. So if you've been looking to get one, it might be time now before it possibly shoots up in price, just because you might see a lot of people in the homebrew start to look into them. And our last bit of news, talk about the NPDs for August. It wasn't a great month, we'll say that. It has actually been the worst August since 1998 in terms of spending with video games, and it appears that hardware is down pretty badly right now. The top selling system, no surprise, was the Nintendo Switch, which I think most people expect at this point, every NPD, until I guess the PS5 and the next Xbox come out. That's probably going to be the trend going forward. But there is an interesting omission from the top 10, even top 20, which let's just take a look at the software here. And it was Madden that took number 1, Madden 20. Then we had Minecraft. You're going to see several asterisks. For the most part, they mean either it does not count digital, or it does not count PC digital, so keep that in mind. Grand Theft Auto 5 is at number 3. Fire Emblem Three Houses at number 4 is pretty good considering those are only physical sales for Nintendo's games. Smash Bros. Ultimate at 5, Super Mario Maker 2 at 6, Mario Kart 8 at 7, Mortal Kombat 11 at 8, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege at 9, and then Astral Chain at 10. That's not bad for Astral Chain considering it came out like right at the end of the month. Was it the 30th it came out? So that was only out for a couple of days before we ended up in September. A little bit of overlap, I think by about 2 or 3 days. So that's like 4 days of tracking there. Not bad though to show up in the top 10 with no digital games counted. But the interesting omission here in the top 20, is that there's no control. Control's just missing. I don't know what happened there, because I thought it sold something. Like, it was being outsold by fairly old game. Assassin's Creed Odyssey apparently outsold it in August, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But here we are. Now, it does appear that we'll see some spending increase in September, considering a ton of games coming out this month. But yes, it's not looking great right now, and we still have another year plus before we get to the next generation. So it does seem like everything is slowing, with basically the Switch working to do its best to even stuff out, but it's not holding up too well, missing basically 2 of the 3 systems, which are just basically flatlining right now, because the generation's just ending. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day. This one is from Stancy saying, why can't we get an HD remake of the original Dragon Ball story? I would like that a lot. That would be really, really cool. There were some games on the Super Nintendo. I think it was Super Goku Den. This was a while ago, obviously, but we had that, Legend of Super Saiyan and some other games. But I would like to see them do something with the original Dragon Ball story. That was a long story with several arcs. So that might be a series of games. I don't know if they'd be able to do it all in one shot, but I would like to see something out of the Dragon Ball, like the original Dragon Ball story. The problem is Dragon Ball Z is like the most popular series like in that franchise. Everyone knows, people probably call the original Dragon Ball Z anyway, especially if they're more casual and don't follow the series as much. But that is I think, an untapped bit of potential there. I just don't know if you would see Bandai dump that much money into it, because there would be some pretty serious risk in if it would sell. But of course, myself and apparently I think Stancy would buy it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's the Ring Fit adventure. Let me know what you think about that, if you're gonna pick it up, or if you're not going to, and just your thoughts on it, whether it's good or bad or weird. It's Nintendo. I guess we can never really guess. What about the MPDs for August? Seems like not a lot of money is being spent on video games. Again, the worst month says 1998, but we're also coming up to the end of the generation, so it's kind of expected. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.